Namaste all, and welcome to our continuing series on the life divine with our beloved Ranga. We are in the chapter Memory, Ego, and Self-Experience, page 535, beginning with the first sentence. It is this succession of experiences. You want to do a summary of the last?
Yeah, we'll.
Good.
We are meeting once a week or twice a week, but by the time we have come to the next day, we have forgotten what we have discussed. Life Divine is 1,000 pages, and so we must know what we are discussing.
Exactly.
Okay, so this chapter begins with the examination of consciousness. The first spiritual experience that often comes to people who are following the Jnana Yoga path is the self, the experience of the self, which is static. You feel yourself to be infinite, you have no connection with your own body-mind life, your ego disappears, and you feel that you are not in time and space. So this is the experience of the self. So when you go to the experience of the self, sometimes the world is real, sometimes the world is unreal to you. And this is a real experience. It's not a thought or it's not a concept, it's not a theory, it's an actual experience. So this is the problem that Srimad is discussing. Why does this happen? So he is saying, to find out the answer, we have to examine what consciousness is all about. So he is examining consciousness, and in this paragraph now, he is discussing three things related to consciousness: memory, ego, and self-experience. So what is memory? Memory is something that you remember of the past. Okay, it is not something of the present, and it is not something of the future. It is something of the past. So it's a very powerful faculty in man, but it's very limited. Beyond 2 years below that, we don't even remember what we were. So my earliest memories are that when I was 6 years old. So before that I don't remember. So but still it's a very useful thing. So memory is of the past. He'll discuss that more in detail. One thing we must remember, that when the consciousness goes to the self, you are seeing past, present and future. Often, not everybody sees that, but you are in the Trikala Drishti. Past, present and future is like a canvas, a picture which is there, and you see the whole. Seeing the whole, as opposed to seeing the parts in our consciousness, is a mark of the self. When you are in the conscious self, you start beginning to see the oneness of things. So that's memory. Then ego. What is ego? Ego is because we are not conscious normally of our self or our psychic being. So nature very kindly gives you a centralization of consciousness to make you see that you are a person. What happened yesterday, what happened day before, and what is happening today is all connected because of the ego and also the memory. Okay, that's the ego. And what is self-experience? Experience, there are two types of experiences. One is external experience, the experience of the physical world. The other, which is quite different, and in the experience of the physical world, you are using your senses for your knowledge. And when you are having self-experience, you are experiencing, looking at your own thoughts, understanding them, analyzing them, or you are looking at your desires and your emotions, you are looking into yourself, and you are also seeing sensations, and then you are not using your senses. You are using what is called manas, or part of the mind. The mind and the manas are instruments for looking into yourself. So with this introduction, I read out to you the summary of what he said earlier. Otherwise you won't get the connection. So, as I told you, he is examining consciousness and its various aspects. Now, when you are in the self, you see the physical world is unreal. When you are here, you see the physical world is real. So the question arises, are there two beings in us? One being which is seeing the eternity and the all, and one being which is seeing the parts and the many and the transience of the world. So he is now discussing that. So, I am reading the summary of the previous paragraph. So, are there two selves or only one? It is evident that there is only one single conscious entity, which, being itself static witness, chooses to throw itself into the movement of universal force to enjoy the surprises of manifested existence. Okay? So, suppose you are in a very high, you are in a flight, you are going by airplane and you see something below you. It is something so far below you, but you find something interesting and you are excited. I want to see what's below. So, when the plane lands, you go and see what's below. So, it's the same person when he is up and when he is down. That's what Srimad is saying. Clear? So, it's not two different beings. Okay. Chooses to throw itself into the movement of universal force to enjoy the surprises of manifested existence. So, that which is unmanifested existence is outside time and space. But manifested existence is in time and space, and therefore everything is, the mark is transience. The characteristic of the physical world is transience. Nothing is permanent. Okay? So, so either you are there or here, but the same person. And Srimad is saying something interesting. The self is throwing itself. It wants to enjoy what is there and throws itself into the manifestation to enjoy the surprises of manifested existence. The words are mine, but the idea is not mine, it's Srimada's idea.
Many would ask the question, why does the self take birth when it has to go through all of these problems in the ignorance?
Okay, so I will give you an idea at our level and extend it spiritually. Okay, so you are in front of a mountain, Mount Everest. It is very high up. But is there not a delight in a desire in you to know what's up there? So the unknown is always attracting the human attention and the consciousness. There is a forest and I want to see what's there. We want to examine, we want to explore. So the desire to explore is an inherent fundamental capacity in man. Extend that to the spiritual field.
Very good.
Okay?
Thank you.
So, but you can always answer back. This answer is not possible logically, because I can always answer back, what are you talking about? The divine has got everything. He doesn't need to explore. The divine doesn't need to explore. So what are you talking about?
Especially if we are the divine.
So the point is this, that logically you cannot explain this. But by extension, as I said, by extension you can understand that the divine wants to experience the one, the many. He is in the one and he wants to see himself in the many. He wants to experience the world in different ways. And that may not satisfy the strict logician, but it can satisfy when you are willing to give a little bit of give and take. Okay? So that is the reason why he wants to plunge himself here and see himself here. Okay? He is purposely limiting his own consciousness, plunging into the darkness to explore it. And the exploration goes on in each individual through many, many lives. It's a long adventure, it's not a short one. You may conquer Mount Everest in 15 days. You may understand a forest in a month or two. This will take lives, this exploration. Okay? So, then. But by so plunging into transient phenomenal existence, it is itself not changed or affected in any way. So, who is exploring? The self. Your true individuality is looking down and it is not itself affected in any way. When your consciousness from the lower level rises to the higher level, you find that you are immutable and you are static and you have no need to change. All the change is here. There it is static, here it is changing. Okay? You render the two experiences by nirguna and saguna. Saguna is the characteristics of the world are transient, and you are watching everything from there, above there. Later on we'll say what the experience is. Okay, so moreover, when the mutable consciousness withdraws back into the eternal status, which is the mutable consciousness? Our being, my body, mind, life, and we are in every way mutable. The body is mutating every second, every instant, and the vital also goes on changing. It is growing, it has different experiences, so too with the mind. So this is the mutable being, your body, mind, life. Okay, so and the ego. Ego is also part of the nature. But when it goes to the static, it becomes the witness self. At our level, we are evaluating everything and saying this is good, this is bad, this is this is that. We are always judging and experiencing. But when your consciousness goes to the self, it becomes the witness self. Only witnessing, no judgment at all. Because there is no thought.
Does it happen before going to the self?
No.
Not at all.
No. It goes to the self. But you can go to the self in many ways. You can go for a few seconds, you can have an experience of several hours. The first time you have it, it will be you're there for a short time and then you come back. Okay? Because it's something unknown and you are sometimes you feel lost. So you want to come back. So this is the witness self. Now, another interesting I am telling you, because these things help, these images. When I am going in the road and I see an accident, I start evaluating things. Oh, this man was guilty, he started it, he is the bad one, he is the victim, he is the starting element, he is the one who started the quarrel. I am judging. But when a journalist comes with a camera and photographs the scene, or even a video, the camera is not judging. It's only recording what's happening. This is exactly what happens when you are in the self. That's why the image of the camera is often used for understanding the self. The self only watches. This is green, this is blue, this is yellow. No judgment. This is better than this, no. Just watching. Objectively, without being affected. If you judge, you are being affected. There is mutability, but there is no judgment there at all. Okay? So that's what the self is. So, moreover, when the mutable consciousness withdraws back into the eternal status, it does not blame, charge, condemn the mutable existence as illusion or unreality. When you go to the self, you are just absolutely immune to any influence. Okay? So it does not judge. It does not say this is false, this is weak. It does not say, or this is unreal. Sometimes you do feel the world is unreal, but that's it. It doesn't seem to be real. No judgment, no good and bad. So, but it becomes aware of itself as independent of senses and body, mind, life. When your consciousness goes to the self, the witness self, it becomes aware that I was not the body, mind, life. I am the pure self. The body, mind, life were instruments given to me, and now I am independent of them. I don't need my body, mind, life. I exist by myself. Okay? So that's what Srimad is saying. It becomes aware of itself as independent of senses and body, mind, life, and simultaneously sees itself as the mutable in the universe. Now, when you go to the self, several experiences are possible. One, you see only yourself and the rest is all unreal in the world. Or you are in the physical world and you see the physical world is real. That's our normal condition. Or there is a third condition, you can be in the self and realize that I am here, but I am also partly there in the body, mind, life. You can be in both simultaneously. So that's what is being said here. There are two poises simultaneously, static and dynamic. Static there, dynamic here. Both real, but in different conditions. This is the Purusha Prakriti experience, which can be experienced in three ways. Only the Purusha, only the consciousness. I am pure consciousness, I am not body, mind, life, and even the universe is outside me. You are in the transcendent consciousness. You transcend the universe. First experience. Second experience, Prakriti is unreal when you are in this Purusha consciousness. That is one way you can experience. The second way, only Prakriti. That's our novel condition. The materialist says that this is the only reality. There is no consciousness. There is no other self. This is me. That's a materialistic view. Or the third one, both Purusha and Prakriti simultaneously existing. You are aware of yourself, you are aware of your body, mind, life, both you are aware of both together. So three possibilities are there when you go to the self.
Sri Aurobindo's choice.
Sri Aurobindo's first experience before Baroda was this physical world is real. Okay? But when he went to the self, meditating with Lele, he found that the physical world is unreal. And that is the only reality. But he didn't jump to conclusions. So he waited, and then later on he found that both are real. So from the second level of the spiritual planes of consciousness, from higher mind to overmind, this is the region where you are conscious of both. You are conscious of Purusha, which is consciousness, of which is your self, the true self, and you are aware of the physical world also, but they seem to be different. They are together, but they are different. This was Sri Aurobindo's problem also in the overmind consciousness. So, and then there is also an interesting thing you worry. Where is existence starting from? In the physical world, we are seeing plants are coming out, animals are coming out. The starting point seems to be the inconscience. So, is that the fundamental reality? Or is it from above? Because I am experiencing also higher planes of consciousness. The problem doesn't get solved until you go to the supermind. Then you know that the real source of existence is the supermind, the Satchidananda, and the lower one is also a reality and also a creatrix. It is creating, but it's a secondary creatrix. This is what you understand.
But he also tells us, don't try to analyze the lotus by looking at the mud, but the archetype in heaven.
That's right. So that's what you realize. So these are the three experiences that you can have. One, you are there, the world is unreal. Two, you are here, the higher planes of consciousness are not available to me. That's our normal condition. Or three, you are in both at the same time. You are here and you are here. Okay? That's what he said in the previous paragraph. Now we read today what we have to read just now. Yeah. I am reading the paragraph fully and then we will, yeah, it's a small paragraph. It is the succession of experiences and it is this fact of an indirect or secondary action of the experiencing consciousness under the conditions of our mentality that bring in the device of memory. Okay? So, when you are in the normal condition and this succession of experiences, yesterday I experienced this, day before yesterday I experienced that, so the succession of experiences brings in the memory. The memory, because memory is there, I remember what it was in the past. Under the conditions of our mentality that bring in the device of memory. For a primary condition of our mentality is division by moments of time. When you are in this consciousness, there are moments of time, there is a flow of time. Time is a movement, a psychological movement, but it's a movement. When you are there, there is no movement. You are in a static condition. The consciousness does not move.
And is time eternal when you're there?
Pardon?
Is time eternal when you're there?
Yes, eternal, and time is one. Past, present, future is all one. Yes. Okay? Or even if you don't experience the Trikala Drishti, you see that you have always existed. You realize yourself. Then you realize that you are actually eternal and that is your true being. So that's a Brahmic consciousness or the self or the witness, you can call it whatever you want. the Atman. Okay? So, for a primary condition of our mentality is division by moments of time. There is an inability to get its experience or to hold its experiences together except under the conditions of this self-division by the moments of time. He is explaining our normal condition. Past is past, present is there, future we still don't know, but there is a division, and every moment is transient. Before you can think of now, it's already gone, it's past. Okay, so that's what he is explaining. Okay, so, and we cannot hold all our experiences together. I can't think of the memory of the past and this together at the same time, which you can do when you are in the self. You can see the whole structure like a painting. I can see the origin of things, I can see the present condition, I can see what's coming also. That's why you can forecast things when you are up there in this self. Okay? There is an inability to get its experience or to hold its experiences together except under the conditions of this self-division by the moments of time. Now, Siddhi is using the word self-division. Who is dividing? You are dividing it yourself. It's your consciousness which is down here and it is dividing past, present and future. Because you can go to a level where nobody is dividing and you are yourself stop dividing time. So you are in the timeless. So the word self-division is important. You are doing the division yourself. Your consciousness is dividing.
In the higher mind, is self-division gone?
In the
higher mind state, is the self-division gone?
No, gone, it's gone. You start seeing the oneness of things.
Yes.
There's no division there at all.
Even in the higher mind?
Yes. The higher mind is the lowest of the spiritual planes of consciousness, and you can have this experience of a static condition. No movement at all. Okay, so in the immediate mental experience of a wave of becoming, a conscious movement of being, there is no action or need of memory. Okay? In the immediate mental experience of a wave of becoming, I am experiencing things, memory is not, I am only experiencing the present, so memory is not there. I become, now, Sri is explaining, I become angry, it's an act of sensation, not of memory. I am happy, I am not thinking of the past, I am happy, it has nothing to do with memory. Okay? So, it is an act of sensation, not of memory. I observe that I am angry, it's an act of perception, not of memory. He is examining memory. Memory only comes in when I begin to relate my experience to the successions of time, when I divide my becoming into past, present and future. When I say, I was angry a moment ago, or I have become angry and am still in anger, or I was angry once and will be again if there is the same occasion. So, this is when you are in this consciousness, memory will then come in. Otherwise, it won't come in. It is not necessary. Memory may indeed come immediately and directly into the becoming if the occasion of the movement of consciousness is itself wholly or partly a thing of the past. So here he is saying, I was angry, I am angry, and I may be angry if the same thing comes up again. So this is what he is calling the becoming. The becoming is the present. I am angry, that's a becoming. I have become anger. Okay? So there no memory is there. But when you start thinking that, oh, yesterday also I was angry, then memory comes in. But experience of the present, memory is not necessary. Memory may come in indeed immediately and directly into the becoming if the occasion of the movement of consciousness is itself wholly or partly a thing of the past. For example, if there is a recurrence of emotion such as grief or anger caused by memory of past wrong or suffering, and not by any immediate occasion in the present, or else caused by an immediate occasion reviving the memory of a past occasion. So, memory also can make you repeat the experience of anger or whatever. He is taking the example of anger. So, when you remember what happened, that occasion, you are repeating and you again start becoming angry. Okay, so because we cannot keep the past in us on the surface of our consciousness, though it is always there behind, within, subliminally present, and often even active, therefore we have to recover it as something that is lost or is no longer existent, and this we do by that repetitive and linking action of the thought mind, which we call memory. So he is defining memory as a linking action of the thought mind. It links the past to the present. Okay, so sometimes very simple things, but he is putting in a philosophical way and in a language which you can't find fault with. This is really memory. Okay, so this is a definition of memory. Linking. He is using the word linking action of the thought mind, which we call memory. Just as we summon things which are not within the actual field of our limited superficial mind experience by the action of the thought mind, which we call imagination, that greater power in us and high summoner of all possibilities, realizable or unrealizable, into the field of our ignorance. So now he is bringing in imagination. Now imagination also is very interesting. Imagination, he will tell you later on also, that when you are in ignorance, when you don't know the whole, then imagination is necessary. When something is a possibility in the future, imagination can make that a reality. Now we are thinking of settling in Mars or other planets. That's imagination. It's not yet a reality. So that's imagination. The animal does not have imagination. It lives in the present. But memory it has. The animal has memory, but not imagination. So imagination is something very powerful which man has got. The capacity of imagination is there, and that's what he is saying. High summoner. Imagination is the high summoner of all possibilities, realizable or unrealizable, into the field of our ignorance. So we want to go to Mars. We feel it is realizable, but it may be unrealizable. Or if you want to go 500 light years away on another planet, okay, it may be unrealizable now, but it may be realized. Both. Imagination deals with both. That's what he's saying.
So is it imagination in the genius that creates something, or is it something that comes down from a higher power?
Imagination gives you the power to think of something realizable. But the realization comes from different possibilities. But things becomes realizable when the conditions in the physical world allow it. A very easy example which I always give, Leonardo da Vinci thought of
the helicopter
flight, okay?
Yeah.
But the conditions were not realizable then in the physical world. 400 years later on, you have materials which are light, you have synthetic materials, there is aluminium, other things, and also you know the laws of aerodynamics. So now that you know the laws of aerodynamics, the possibility of flight in the air is there. So it becomes realizable. So the creativity is imagination. It starts with imagination. You imagine that this can be done. But the world conditions have to satisfy it. That's what he's saying. So we have done the para. Now a brief resume of the para may help, okay, because we review all the ideas. I am reading the summary. These are not Srinivas's words. The same thing put in slightly simpler language. I hope it is simpler. Okay. It is in this mutable existence that memory becomes important. For worldly existence is the result and creation of dividing mind which cuts time as well as space into moments and spatial areas. Memory is the device nature has provided to link these divided moments. Otherwise, past remains past. If we didn't have memory, I don't remember what happened yesterday, I don't remember what happened day before yesterday. So, I will be a floater without memory. But there is one thing that comes and corrects that impression, that is the ego. The ego gives you a sense of continuity from the past to the present, and even you can imagine yourself in the future. So, that's the ego. So, ego is there and memory also is there, but both are important. Okay. I have seen some very interesting things. When people become old, memory starts failing, but ego is there. The ego is there. You've forgotten what has happened yesterday or day before, but the ego is very much there. If you provoke them, the ego will show itself. We have actually seen this with old people. Okay, so or when you are stunned into unconsciousness and what is it called, amnesia. When you have amnesia, your memory disappears. So memory is a creation of nature which is very helpful, but it can also disappear. Okay, so for worldly existence is a result of creation of dividing mind which cuts time as well as space into moments and spatial areas. Memory is the device nature has provided to link these divided moments. In the experience, I am angry, there is no role for memory. It is mere sensation in the experience. I observe that I am angry. There is no role for memory. It is mere perception. But when the divisions of time enter into the picture, memory becomes indispensable. I was angry an hour ago. I am still angry. I may become angry again if the same situation arises again. Memory links the three times. Memory is usually not present in the act of becoming. In the present, memory is not there. Act of becoming, I am becoming angry. So that's a present. Memory is not there. But it can enter in as an act of emotion, as in the recurrence of an incident which caused anger in the past, although there may be no immediate cause for it in the present. That's the reason why Sri Aurobindo spoke of four elements, if you remember. The observer, the observed, the observation, three things. But the memory, the occasion also is important. So that's why he said earlier in the previous paragraphs that there are four elements in self-experience. The observer, I am observing. The observed, that which is being observed. And the link between the two, which is observation, and the occasion. Okay? So, that's what he has said in the past does not live in the present. The past does not live in the present surface awareness, although it is there in the subliminal background, even actively often enough. Okay? Now, he has spoken about the subliminal background. The subliminal is that which is below the surface. But normally, it is inside you, not below you. The consciousness which is below you is the inconscient. First of all, the subconscious and then the inconscient. But the subliminal is that which is within you, deep inside, horizontally you go. And the superconscious is when you go out of your body, mind, life and it is above you. So the subliminal, these memories are all there, although you don't remember now. But if you, with your memory, you remember the incident, again the anger will come up. That's what he's saying. Okay, so the memory is used by mind to link and recover events in time. Imagination is also another power of the mind to summon, call up things absent in the present surface consciousness. This is what he has said in the para. Remember that he is examining consciousness. He is looking at the phenomena of memory, the imagination and self-experience. So, memory is not the essence of persistent or continuous experience even in the succession of time, and would not be necessary at all if our consciousness were of an undivided movement. Memory is not necessary. That's what happens when you go to the self. You are in undivided time. You see the oneness of everything, and therefore memory is not necessary. You see the past, you see the present, you see the future. You see the oneness of things. So memory is not necessary. Okay. Memory is something that makes you see things not on the whole. When you are not seeing the whole, memory is necessary. But when you are seeing the whole, memory is not necessary. So, if all our consciousness were of an undivided movement, if it had not to run from moment to moment with a loss of direct grasp on the last and an entire ignorance or non-possession of the next. So, when you are in the present, memory is not acting. So, you have neither the possession of the past nor the possession of the future. That's what he is saying. Okay, so, I'll read that sentence again. So, if it were not to run from moment to moment with a loss of direct grasp on the last, past, and an entire ignorance or non-possession of the next, all experience or substance of becoming in time is a flowing stream or sea, not divided in itself, but only divided in the observing consciousness by the limited movement of the ignorance, which has to leap from moment to moment like a dragonfly darting about on the surface of the stream. So too, all substance of being in space is a flowing sea, not divided in itself, but only divided in the observing consciousness, because our sense faculty is limited in its grasp, can see only a part, and is therefore bound to observe forms of substance as if they were separate things in themselves, independent of the one substance. There is indeed an arrangement of things in space and time, but no gap or division except to our ignorance, and it is to bridge the gaps and connect the divisions created by the ignorance of mind that we call in the aid of various devices of the mind consciousness, of which memory is only one device.
So let's talk a bit about the other devices.
Yeah. So the other device, memory, imagination,
Yes.
capacity of the different aspects of the mind, the capacities of the mind, all this he will discuss later on. The paragraph that we read just now, I'll give you the summary.
Good.
Okay. Memory is not the essence of continuous experience, even in the successive moments of time. Normally, when I am discussing this, memory is not bothering me. I am not bothered about the memory of what has happened. I am just concentrating here on what's happening. That's what he's saying. Okay? Memory would be of no use, would have no function, if all our consciousness was seen as one undivided whole. And that's what happens when you go to the self. When you go to the self, you start seeing the oneness of things. It is static, you are seeing past, present, future. So memory is not necessary there. Okay. It is because we grasp the past very imperfectly and the future nothing at all, that memory has a role to play in mutable nature. Mutable nature is our normal condition. We require memory. If we don't, memory is not there, then there will be chaos. What did I do yesterday? I have forgotten. In fact, that happens very often. Suppose you have discussed something with some friends and you come to a conclusion. Next day, you have forgotten what the conclusion was. So, memory fails, then the connectivity is not there. Okay? So, mutable nature. But we must know that all existence is one undivided flow. All consciousness, one single continuous stretch without a break. All force, one single movement, creating many different forms which seem divided to our ignorant, dividing mind consciousness. All existence is only one, seeming to be divided. Okay? So, there is a quotation from the Gita. And because of the ignorance of divided and dividing mind, we have to call in some devices of nature to bridge the gaps, of which memory is one, imagination is another such device of nature offered to man. A brief discussion on this with 2-3 minutes. Okay. We think of ourselves as independent and self-existent. I don't need to depend on anybody. I don't need to depend on you. I don't need to depend on anything. I am myself. This is the idea that we normally have. Totally wrong idea. It's a total ignorance. You are very much dependent on the universe. The universe is a sea and you are a small wave in it. The wave depends entirely on the sea for its existence. Okay? This is what you realize when you go to the self. Now, what is the sea? First of all, there is the universal sea of matter. It's a universe, it's a sea of substance. We don't think of it, but it's infinite. It goes on, goes on, goes on. 500,000 light years away also there is matter. It's a sea, infinite sea. Above this sea, there is the next level of life sea, the Shakti, the power. This is the life. Its substance is slightly less gross. It is subtler than matter. Again, there is a sea of mind. And above that, there is a sea of the higher mind. So, all these planes are all seas. And you are, wherever you are just one dot, you are just one part of that sea. So, if you think of the sea and the wave, it becomes very clear. The wave is transient. You are the transient. Your body, mind, life is transient. But you depend on the universe. Does the universe depend on the individual also? So, Srivamdeva has a very interesting take. He says that for evolution, the individual is necessary. It is the individual who takes the universal evolution to the next step. It's always he who creates the conditions for going to the next step.
So, in this current situation of the world, how is the individual going to change anything if there is not a collective?
Okay, so that's the phenomenon of the avatar. The avatar is the individual who takes evolution to the next step. That's it. So, who was the avatar in this? We believe that it was Kalki was Sri Aurobindo. And when the supramental race comes, the descent of an avatar will not be necessary, because the supramental race will have a cosmic, will have a spiritual consciousness. So, no more avatars. Even in our Indian tradition, there are only 10 avatars. After Kalki, the 10th one, there is no need of an avatar anymore. All human beings will become avatars. Okay, so we stop here today.
Thank you, Ranga.
And next time we will start with there is then in me.
There is then in me, yes. Namaste all, and thank you for attending.